good evening. Tonight, we're doing new Hildebrand story, which is always a laugh. Yeah, hopefully you have either done the story already yourself in your own time, so I don't spoil you. Maybe you're doing it alongside me, so that you don't have to read the dialogue yourself. Or maybe you don't care about seeing it for the first time with me. Yeah, that is pretty much the plan. And when we finish the Manderville stuff, we will go on to acquire at least one relic weapon. I should have the currency to buy one. Hey Ryan. Hey Phil. Phil says I just finished myself. Oh, well there you go. Which blob of players is it? I probably can't recall the voices I gave the characters last time, but we'll try. Kaitsu, eager to resume our investigations? I know I am. Do you recall that scrap of alien starship we recovered? Well, Inspector Brandyhild has employed his unsettling calculative capacity to extrapolate the damage to the greater whole, and he has concluded that the vessel would be incapable of flight without extensive repairs. A most likely scenario, then, is that some unknown agent made off with the starship wreckage, along with PuPu's acquaintance. Fortunately, I have a fair idea who that unknown agent might be. After all, there is a singularly shadowy cabal with a history of concealing extraterrestrial activity. Actually, let's head over to Kama first. The Inspector and the others are staying in a dwelling there, and I'd rather not explain myself twice. Oh yeah, there. I believe this is also where we went last time. This horrible misfortune, Katsu. Calamitious even. Poor Master PuPu has fallen gravely ill. Oh no. He's so bluish green, also I mean. Could he have caught a cold? I suppose it was quite chilly up there in Garlemald. PuPu is an alien. Who knows what extraterrestrial diseases might be ravaging his body? Hey Delano, how are you doing? Not just the lights are the best medicine for whatever ails you, as the Inspector himself can attest. Are those bombs? Good God, Nashu, you'll blow our host's domicile to pieces. Put them away. How would bombs help right now? If I may, when I was cloned from the Inspector, certain gaps in my knowledge were patched with supplementary data from the starship's archives. This information included an encyclopedic understanding of Master PuPu's physiology, which should be sufficient for me to diagnose his condition. A Xenoman hybrid mind. That explains the impossible calculations. Do the thing! He did the thing! The Mind Palace thing. I have it. Master PuPu is afflicted by a terrible case of the common cold. Gods grant me strength. As a visitor to Etheris, Master PuPu has no prior exposure to our maladies. He is thus particularly susceptible to infection, and more likely to experience severe symptoms. Aha! Just as I surmised. We must put aside the case until we have nursed our stricken companion back to health. But even if it is a common cold, isn't there a risk that our medicines do him more harm than good? They almost certainly would. Based on the results of my analysis, however, I believe I can synthesize an effective remedy. We need but gather the ingredients. Then ingredients you shall have. So, what are we gathering exactly? Most of what we require can be drawn from Master PuPu's collected samples. Otherwise, there are only 2 which we lack. The first of these is the liver of a giant tortoise. A suitable organ can be extracted from one of the cachapa which warned us Saltwind's welcome. Ah, the slaughtering of a monstrous opponent. That sounds like a job for Kaitsu. The other material in question is a rare fungus known as damp shroom, which I am hoping can be found among the Great Works' extensive stock of alchemical reagents. Very well, Nashu, the lion, and I will scour the alchemist's shelves. Meanwhile, I would ask that you remain here and keep an eye on our ailing patient.
Inspector Brandyhild, you're such an expert on all things stabbed there.
Oh, I wouldn't say expert. Simple conclusions from simple observations, nothing more. As I said, I'm hoping the alchemists have the damp shroom we need, but it really is quite rare. Once you have the tortoise liver, would you be so kind as to assist the others in procuring the fungus? Then let us not prolong Master PuPu's suffering a moment longer. It seems we have a job to do. Further discussion of the abduction will have to wait. Hey Fila, thank you for checking in, and good night to you. Kaiti. That is actually pretty close. Here's a funny story. Some of you, if you have checked the Twitter of my YouTube account here, you will notice that it is a lot older than the YouTube channel. That is because it was replaced. I basically changed everything on the Twitter account because I couldn't be bothered to make another one. And I believe that one was called Chai GT. Now, that was because of I thought it was funny to call the chai tea relation, right? But I never really did anything with it. But Kai tea also works. Is that what he's having that gives him the super mind blast? What a quest! Whew! We barely made it. You bought some chai tea because you never had it before. Oh, well, did you like it, Orion? I actually have chai tea. It's not. It's okay. It's not my favorite, but it's okay. My mom got it for me. Very difficult. Tortoise savage. Ah, Kaitsu, I had every confidence you would bring us a suitable liver. Alas, the dank shroom yet eludes us. The dank shroom, yes.
The alchemist said the fungus has few applications, so they don't bother to stock it most of the time.
Then I must put my keen inspector's sense to work. Stand back whilst I attune myself with the essence of the dank. The essence of the dank. Damp. The word is damp shroom, and you'll forgive me if I have no faith in your abilities. 'Tis close, my friends. I'm getting closer and closer even as we speak. Wait, really? I hear you folk are in the market for damp shrooms. I might have some to sell if you're interested. But how? We certainly are, my fine fellow. Right then. If you'll give me a moment to retrieve the goods, we can finalize our transaction up on the perfumed rice. Was it genuine clairvoyance or sheer coincidence? I'm not sure anymore. Though, in all fairness, when it comes to Inspector Hildebrand, preternatural perception is one of his least baffling talents. In any case, we should hurry to the rise and take this man up on his timely offer. Oh. Well, Ryan, I think the reason that they're saying that sugar and milk is recommended is because I think... Oh. I think most people... I think it's... Well, I don't actually have any statistic on it, but I think it's very common to have either sugar or milk in your tea, regardless of what tea you're having. I guess that makes sense. But now that you mention it, I do believe that that I know the same about chai tea, so that makes sense, I suppose. Yeah, thanks, room. Hey, Sharo. Yeah, I did get to level 80. I also soloed the first boss in Mage on Blue Mage. The tank buster does like 80% of your health. Maybe it's 60 or 70. Oh, apparently the person that I had friended just sent me a message that they know that they recognized my name from YouTube. Is that with Dragon Force? No, because of lack of slots, I decided that I probably wouldn't need Dragon Force and just brought Diamond back. Now, the problem is that there is a stack marker, and I'm pretty sure you just flat out die if you don't Diamond back that. And the Tank Buster comes so close to the stack marker that you basically need to like use Diamond back as quickly as possible so that you get hit by the stack marker during Diamond back, but Diamond back will not last long enough to also cover the Tank Buster, and you do not have the MP to Diamond back both of them. Like, you can't Diamond back twice. And also you will spend so much time just doing nothing if you do that. So yeah, basically I would use Diamond Bag for the stack marker, eat the Tank Buster, and then use White Wind or the new Rehydration, which is like, if you have Basic Instincts on, and then Swift cast it, it is basically like a Benediction, even with Tank Roll. Now, the key thing is I used the Tank Roll because it gives you extra defense, which is very powerful now that you can just grab Rehydration, and you basically have Healer Palm Cure without the restriction that it needs to be as a healer. Yeah, it was very, very difficult. It was reminiscent of when I was soloing Locksmith as a scholar. Like, every time that I had to take the stack marker, I had like 1 second of wiggle room to actually heal enough to be able to take the Tank Buster and then heal again to survive the following attacks, and most of my damage came through blood drain because I spent so much time recovering MP. It was very hard. But I did it first try. Which would also have a relation to why my strategy didn't get more advanced. In retrospect, Dragon Force would have been nice to have. Ah, you're here. Good, good. And here's the damps room as promised. Oh, glad we are for your assistance. Not so fast. There's still the matter of payment. Of course, of course. And how much do we owe you, my good man? Considering the extreme rarity of the fungus in question, I couldn't let it go for less than 1 million gil. 1 million gil for one measly mushroom? That's outright robbery. A bargain, I counter. You would pay tenfold my price in the markets. I thought to do your kindness in light of your urgent needs, but I am more than willing to find another buyer if you wish to spit upon my generosity. Nashu, how fare we for coin?
We're plumb out, Inspector.
Oh, then this is a prickly pickle. Where are we to obtain sufficient funds at such short notice? I don't have 1 million gil, Hildebrand. Trust me, just take my word for it. I just want to read all three. 1 million gil, was it? I have an orchestrion roll collecting problem. Gotta buy 'em all. Spent the last of my savings on Return to Oblivion. Or I actually got a specific orchestrion roll right before this stream, but that didn't cost any gil. I think that is the funniest option. I have an orchestrion roll problem. If that's the way of it, then I shall beg farther for the necessary amount. Saving Master PuPu's life is worth every gil. Someone from off-screen yells, "Give that man nothing!" We have you now, deceitful scum! Your swindling days are over! About Zadhan City Guard, at your service. We'd received reports of this man's questionable activities and have been keeping a close eye on him ever since. Damp shroom is a rare find in the bazaar, to be sure, but only because there's no real demand for it. The price this charlatan quoted you was, quite frankly, ludicrous. But thanks to your ignorance and poor judge of character, we were able to catch him in the act. As a token of our gratitude, you are welcome to keep the fungus, assuming you still want it. Very much, yes, very much so. That is very, magnanimous of you. Bah, you think I enjoy tricking fools out of their coin? If that bastard hadn't declared my job redundant, I wouldn't have needed to stoop so low. He blames a rising star among the merchant princes for his woes. Van Hoody, I believe his name was, purchased the trading consortium where the man was working, which led to a restructuring of the hierarchy, put a lot of people out of work. Van Hoody. I know that name. Something about an acquisition deal gone sour. Father was willing to sell him a slice of his Hannish enterprise, I think, but balked when the man offered to buy our family business in its entirety. Truly, there is no telling how deep the coffers of this Van Hoody are, nor do any know the secret of how he amassed such kingly wealth so damnably fast. There are whispers, though, that he solved alchemy's oldest and most legendary of problems, the transmutation of base metal into gold. Unlikely to say the least, but whatever the source of Van Hoody's riches, he shows no reluctance in spending them. He's bought a historic temple to serve as his home, and commissioned a private airship, among other extravagant expenditures. Nice for some, eh? Cool guy.
Caw, that swindling case had barely started before you solved it, Inspector.
Yes, he solved it. Ah, all in a day's work, my dear Nashu. I believe our business upon this scented hill is concluded. Let us hurry the ingredients back to Inspector Brandyhilt, shall we?
I may have mollified his lordship with the secrets of divine manifestation, but the stench of failure yet clings to me. I must redeem myself in his eyes by crushing my most hated foe.
Return to Oblivion. Which one is that again? 4 million. Is that the... yeah, I had a feeling it was E8. I wasn't entirely sure. Thank you. it is pretty funny. Sharo says, for the upper answer, you will be praised as saint by Hildebrand. Oh. My cutscene was perfect for that answer with my free company symbol all over my body. Yes, I bought all of these. Dank shrooms. Inspector Brandyhill. Inspector Hildebrand tells me you have the liver to go along with his damp shroom. The glistening liver of a Saltwind's welcome cachapa. A fine specimen, thank you. I will be mixing the ingredients in the starship, so let us convey Master PuPu outside that we may administer his medicine as soon as it is ready. Yeah, I wonder what the answer is if you just act like you're sleeping. My guess is that he either does nothing or goes out of his way to yell at you to wake you up or something. But I don't know. This should be sufficiently remote. I'll have the craft come to us and we can commence the treatment. Yeah, exactly, Sharo. OEST.
Oh, I feel much better. I cannot thank you all enough.
Master PuPu recovered his strength in mere moments. It would seem his powers of recuperation are just as advanced as his technology.
I came here from another world, a stranger you've no cause to trust, and yet you've treated me so kindly. The people of the star are so very welcoming. Some of them.
That Lala fell. Ha! You're our dear friend now, Master PuPu. It is our pleasure to help.
And it will be my pleasure to harm. Nose laser.
And then there's the Mind Palace move. Imagine if you could do that in like a Savage raid and just stop time for a second to think. And also move like that. That is pretty neat.
I'll not fall for the same trick twice.
No. Oh. Wait. Huh? A significantly different kind of mind palace. Huh? Isn't the laser fast approaching? What? Oh, okay, fair enough. For a second I thought he actually just blocked it. He kinda blocked it. Oh. Oof.
Impudent worms, taste my full power. Mouth laser.
Her anime flashback moment. Does she land it though? Boink. I'm not sure what that was supposed to do. It doesn't look like it did anything. Oh, we do that again? Awesome. Now that's a good picture.
Not again!
And the Lalafell. That was absurd. And I do like that too, Phil. I really like those incredibly insane animations it leads to. Is this the third or the fourth time that our character does some like cool sports move? Just in the Hildebrand story of Endwalker? You took the full force of that destructive beam, yet there you stand, somewhat singed but apparently unharmed. I've pondered and puzzled over this inexplicable fortitude of yours, and feel compelled to ask. Are you an alien? Ah, ha, ha. A fine jest, but I assure you, I'm without a doubt an Ul'dan-born Manderville of terrestrial Huron stock.
He's Hildibrand, agent of inquiry and inspector extraordinaire. What more do you need to know?
Where to even begin? But never mind, we have more pressing matters. Such as locating Master PuPu's missing comrade. This time we reopen the case of the silent correspondent. Yes, exactly. And I have a firm theory as to who it was that took the wreckage and its erstwhile pilot. The Sharlians. I'm all but certain they've allied with insidious extraterrestrials, which means they'll be under orders to remove any evidence of alien activity. Partly correct, though. To be fair, the line is partly correct here. I wager we'll find what we're looking for in Old Sharlian. We need only infiltrate their operations that expose this nefarious conspiracy. We only need to infiltrate Old Sharlian. Option 1. The Sharlians can't be bothered to formally ally with foreign nations, much less aliens. And the Lobrits don't count. Or, trust me, they'd sooner flee the star than attempt to subjugate it. That's the one. Well, Master Alliance theory does lack supporting facts. We have no other promising leads to pursue at present. Moreover, I understand that Sharlian sets the standard for monitoring astronomical and astrological phenomena. Mayhap their experts have been tracking extraterrestrial movements. I've spoken out of turn. Please, forgive my presumptuousness. Nay, my friend, I, too, sense a path points to the Isle of Archons. Pack your bags, everyone. We leave for Sharlian immediately. I want that as an emote. Just that. Just that pose. There's oh yeah, there's also the volleyball scene in the Island Sanctuary. That's true. Oh, also true, Sharo. I suppose you're right. Elidibus does confirm that Hildebrand very much would be a warrior of light, right? Like, assuming that Elidibus summoned only warriors of light. Sharlian awaits. We need only charter a suitable sea vessel. Of course, but does not the city lie many days' sail to the north? Is there no swifter means of reaching our destination? So this experimental aetherite will allow us to teleport thither even absent attunement? Splendid! Then we shall avail ourselves of the technological marvel forthwith. That is a callback. Those that remember the legendary quest where Estinian gets fleeced for an hairband and almost gets fleeced for drinks because everyone else in the troop isn't doing well. When you get to Thavnair for the first time. So this is the city of learning. Our sophisticated gentlemen should feel right at home here. How are you all not sick to your stomachs? Oh, just turn the camera. Oh, there you are, Deline.
Experimental aetherites make travel exponentially more fun.
Sometimes I feel as though I am the only normal person in this group of eccentrics. But this is not the time to succumb to nausea. Not here, in the belly of the beast. Rumor has it the Sharlian secret agents travel the stars in search of specimens, which they collect and bring home in service to a confidential research project. Said project is conducted in a huge underground military facility. If we're to find answers, then that's where we need to look. What's the name of that profession? The people that go out and just find stuff to put in Labyrinthos. And also there's military facilities talking about as Labyrinthos, and it's not a military facility. Gleaners, exactly. But like, everything he's saying does relate to something, but the interpretation is off. Fel says, I assume since she summons Warriors of Light through the rift, Hildebrand just got caught up in it. It's possible, as we recall, in the time frame between Stormblood and Endwalker, Hildebrand was stuck somewhere. So he could have just landed there because of, you know, Hildebrand shenanigans, you know, Manderville story reasons, like, it's just crazy and he might not actually be a warrior of light, and the only reason why he's summoned there is because it would be funny. But there's also another possibility, and Cheryl says Elizabeth summons only warriors of light, or maybe also very close helpers of warriors of light in this dungeon, and because it's our Hildebrand, it can't be a close helper because he didn't help us. That is a fair point. It was designed. That is true. My suggestion wasn't necessarily that he wasn't only summoning warriors of light. It was more that maybe he was just summoning people in general that had, you know, generally the goodness in their hearts to do the right thing. And Hildebrand definitely fits that description, and a lot of people that might not be actual warriors of light would also fit that description. But it works. Like, like, I think it's hilarious if he happens to be a warrior of light. That's just added to the list. And that would also explain his incredible fortitude. He has the power of being a warrior of light. I just said this. I basically said this. Labyrinthos, not a military facility. I say, this Labyrinthos sounds promising. I say we head down there and make inquiries as to the whereabouts of our missing alien friend. We simply take a lift from the Hall of Artifice, yes? Then let us be on our way. Hildebrand was able to use a sword's power that, in description, would only be usable by us. Which sword is that? In 1.0, Irianje talked to him, Hildebrand, about the Warrior of Light, and Hildebrand thought Yuri meant he was the Warrior of Light. Oh. Like, yeah, like, that is what I mean, is that Hildebrand has everything he needs to be a Warrior of Light. Because you don't actually need to be powerful to be a Warrior of Light. That sword that flew him away in Stormblood. Oh, I see. Well, it's been a while, so I'll take your word for it. I can't remember. That's fair. But he could, as I said, he could be a Warrior of Light. Maybe his incredible intuition, where he could feel our damp shroom approaching us, is his his version of the echo. Because as far as I know, like, just between the player character and Kryl, we have two different, like, slightly different versions of the echo. So it could also be like Hildebrand has the echo, and it allows him to have this weird clairvoyance sometimes, randomly, when it's comedically fitting. Ah, these must be the lifts in question. Hel says, tested what happens if you fall asleep when Hildy asks you for kill. It's the same as saying you're broke. Ah, okay.
Do you wish to descend into Labyrinthos, ma'am? My apologies, but each of your companions must also secure the proper permissions before we can allow them entrance.
If it is assurances you need, then surely a single glance is all you require to just trustworthy in that outfit, Hildebrand. Well, now you've got me convinced. Less convincing? Work on the confidence.
I could certainly make some judgments, but that is neither here nor there. Admission to Labyrinthos is subject to foreign policy.
You're the one who should be judged. I know you're hiding aliens and xenotechnology in that underground base of yours. Admit it!
Xenotechnology? I sincerely have no idea what you're talking about.
Someone from off screen says, "Oh, yet again do our paths cross in most serendipitous fashion." But father, what business brings you to Charlian? I am in search of a certain object, one crucial to the continued refinement of the Manderville weaponry. My investigations lead me to believe it is to be found here, in Labyrinthos. And as you also seem to have business down below. This is my son and his bosom companions. If I vouch for that character, will you kindly allow them to board the lift?
Ah, Master Godbert Manderville. The firm sent word of your impending arrival. As a member of the Syndicate, your ambassadorial status affords you an entourage of up to 5 members. Pray consider their permissions arranged.
That is extremely convenient that we have exactly 5 people that need access. I know not your current mission, but for the time being, I suggest you accompany me to the Archaeon. And there comes the Lalafell. Those that don't remember, that Lalafell is like Nashu's biggest fan. Yeah, the Heavensward story is also hilarious. But how isn't it like the inspector guy that follows you around, the actual inspector guy that like has his whole own quest line, I believe, which is where you get this emote. From. He basically says something to the effect of, nothing makes sense when like the when Hildebrand is there. Like it's as if the laws of physics and nature just stops making sense, like a cartoon, which is of course hilarious. Yeah, Briardian. From what father tells me, this storage facility is replete with samples and specimens collected from every land on Etheris. If anyone has information concerning visiting aliens and crashed starships, it will be these studious folk. Excuse me? Has everyone always known? Has everyone always known that the planet was called Etheris? Because I feel like before Endwalker, NPCs didn't call it Etheris. And now Hildebrand is. The fellow says I was on stream for 2 seconds. I'm famous. Well, you can be on the stream, that's fine. A shiny silver saucer. I'm sorry, but we have no record of any such object in our archives, either whole or in part. Oh, so you would have us... so you would have us believe! But the purpose of this complex, this military fortress, is plain. You cannot deny that you're conducting secret research on alien starships. We're not conducting secret research on alien starships. Yes, we did build a starfaring vessel in Dalmasine, but it was neither for military purposes nor of extraterrestrial origin. Disguising your foul lies with a sprinkling of the truth, are we? Fine, I'll dig up the facts myself, and then everyone will hear what you're really up to. While I cannot assist you with your missing craft, I do recall seeing an individual of like appearance to your companion here. You do? And where was this, pray tell? At Miriel Agronomics in the medial circuit. The lift at the back of the building will take you down there. Many thanks, my good man. Well, it seems you've found yourselves a solid lead. I have my own search to attend to, so I shall bid you good hunting and good day. Another round of in-depth inquiries by the agent of inquiry and friends is in order. To Miriel Agronomics we go. Oh, and here we are, apparently, on the other side. I have friends on the other side. Oh, she says, I love to play Where's Waldo with that Lalafell in every cutscene. Because I couldn't, so here's the thing with that Lalafell, I couldn't remember who he was because it had been so long, because there was no Hildebrand in Shadowbringers. So he had to, like, basically reintroduce himself in the story before I was like, oh yeah. And now I can't not notice him. Your description would lead me to believe you're looking for one of the Mandragoras hereabouts. But if, as you say, it's something else you're after, then I'm not sure if I can be of much help. I've only just started working here, so you may have more luck asking the older hands. Ah, you must be talking about one of those new Mandragora strains. We whipped up a batch of bright blue stray onions, but I'm afraid they started to rot almost immediately. Not a mandra, you say? Well, the only other bluish things I can think of around here are the grapes. Look how luscious this crop turned out. You know what? I love that the developers kind of just owned it and like keep bringing in the grapes in the story. Like every time we get even close to something with a grape, they're like, oh yeah, remember the grapes? That was a good one. I can't remember if they always looked like this or if they actually fixed it up a bit, but like I don't know if they actually changed it, but at launch of Endwalker, these grapes, like they don't look that impressive right now either, but they might have looked worse. Like they actually looked almost like a crystal with just like a texture over it. And people made like a lot of jokes about it. And then people were up in arms like, save the grape, because they, like, people were making fun of it because it was funny, but people liked the grapes like that. Like they looked ridiculous, but people actually liked the grapes. Katsuchaji, grape historian. We have Hildebrand, agent of inquiry, and then we have Katsuchaji, grape historian, out on adventures. They fixed the Heidelin grapes in 6.1. Oh, okay. Ryan says, as someone who doesn't particularly enjoy Hildebrand, it's fine that we didn't have any in Shadowbringers. Took long enough to catch up as it is. That's fair. I think it's fun, but I think it's fun in, like, reasonable amounts. The A Realm Reborn part of the Hildebrand story, a lot of it I outright missed because I had a completely different approach to story content in Final Fantasy XIV, which involved a lot of this. Just mashing. Like, no, I don't care. Give me the reward. And then I realized that the Hildebrand story gave nothing, and then I stopped doing it. And then when I finally picked it up again, I wasn't entirely sure where the story was going. Yeah, exactly, Cheryl. I agree. I loved I like the crystal grapes. I also want to be honest, I didn't notice like I didn't notice there was something wrong with the grapes. I was plenty busy with other stuff. Would you say Hildebrand is MSQ 2.0? I mean, it's a different kind of MSQ, you could say, but in A Realm Reborn, I would say that his story was probably a lot more entertaining in a way, like in a funny way. But the thing is that I'm very easy to please with comedy. the problem that was in the Hildebrand story for me, as I said, had nothing to do with the Hildebrand story and had everything to do with the way that I approached story in games. As I said, Mage, I don't care, lead me to the combat. Which I don't really do as much anymore. I got like the general gist of the Blue Mage story this time around. Earlier today. Where's the new hairstyle from, by the way? Like, how do you pick it up? Because if it's super cheap on the market board, then it suggests that it is really easy to get.
Yes, the little blue man. Saw him with my own 2 eyes, I did, and it was no Mandragora. A gleaner in the company of an outside visitor passed through a little while back. Nothing too unusual there, only this, friend you described was scuttling along with them. I know not what purpose brought them to the farm, but whatever it was, they didn't tarry here long.
Oh, it's from the new variant dungeon, that makes sense. In that case, here's a tip. If you do the variant dungeon, if it's a random drop from the variant dungeon, hold on to the hairstyle items. Just put them in your pocket for a little bit. Like, just hold on to them for a while. And then see when the price raises. Because the thing is, most people will do variant dungeons for like a week or 2. And then they're kind of finished. And then they'll stop doing it. And eventually the supply of this hairstyle will dry up. And the price will rise. Just make sure that you actually get yours sold before people start going, there's actually money in spamming variant dungeons for this hairstyle now. It's buyable for the currency. Well, even easier. Just, you know, hang on to some extra currency. But that explains a lot. Wonderful. That corroborates the information I but moments ago skillfully squirreled out of this farmer. She claims to be an acquaintance of the gleaner in question, in fact, and will bring him to talk to us shortly. Let's round up the others. We should all be present to hear what revelations this professional collector has to share.
You're the folk asking about the little blue man, yes? Oh, and you've brought someone who's practically identical. You must be the same species, surely.
My friend was really here then?
They certainly were. If you've a moment or 3, I'll tell you the whole tale. To begin at the beginning, I was in Thavne on a procurement mission when I crossed paths with an apothecary and his unusual companion. As I mentioned, the companion was almost your twin in appearance, and the wagon they rode upon bore a damaged vessel the likes of which I'd never seen before.
Could it be?
As a collector by trade, I have a certain weakness for oddities. Thus did I hail the apothecary to inquire after his company and his cargo. The man was only too happy to share his story. He had, it seemed, quite recklessly plunged into the war-torn lands of Garlemald to sell his wares, reasoning that where there was conflict, there would be a need for medicinal goods. The state of affairs was rather more volatile than he'd anticipated, however, and he was soon forced to abandon his venture, and so the apothecary began his long trek home, only to shortly thereafter discover a strange, silvery ship, and its shaken pilot, crash-landed in a snowfield.
It cannot be a coincidence.
The story continues. After extricating the battered vessel and its occupant from the snow, he brought them home to Ratzatan. His guest wished to make repairs to the craft, yet even amongst the wonders of the bazaar, they struggled to find suitable parts. Hearing this, I suggested they bring the wreckage itself to Labyrinthos, and after they agreed to the idea, I escorted them here myself. Alas, even the Damascene engineers who worked on the Ark were stymied by the exotic ship, finding its technology impossible to comprehend, let alone replicate. The little blue fellow eventually resorted to drafting schematics. While the engineers followed these step by step to craft the essential bits and bobs, the apothecary and his companion were waiting here at Miriel.
And then what happened?
Well, once our industrious visitor had what they needed, they repaired the vessel in a twinkling. The pair then departed almost immediately, and I've seen neither hide nor hair of them since. I'm told the apothecary paid a handsome sum for the engineer's services, but being typical Charlians, I wager they would have happily forfeited the coin for a chance to pore over every square ilm of that ship. Now, I'm no scientist, but I'm beginning to think such an incredible vessel must have been some kind of starfaring craft. And that little blue man, well, he must have been an alien from another world. Or so I'd like to believe. I'm an avid reader of the Thavnarian truth, you see, and love to entertain these idle flights of fancy. But I've rambled on too long. These are errands to attend. There are errands to attend to, and I really must take my leave. Good fortune to you.
Can it be true? I have a readership in Charlian. Perhaps I've misjudged these people.
Oh yeah? Is that all it takes, Delian? Would seem your comrade is hale and healthy, Master PuPu, and in the company of a Hannish alchemist of undisclosed description. Yes, this is wonderful news. I'm grateful indeed that we made the journey. I have a feeling this case will soon draw to a close. Come, let us return to Ratsatan and continue the search. Orion says, I think that's actually my biggest gripe with Final Fantasy XIV in general. There are so little quests that actually revolve around combat. I agree, and you know, take that and top it off with, and this is something that I very briefly talked with Sharo and Nelva, Hoshi, about earlier, I think, is when you play Blue Mage and you need to level your Blue Mage, you need open world mobs, and when you need open world mobs, you quickly realize that if you want to do like an AoE pull and pull like 5 or 6 mobs all at once, there are actually not that many places in the game where you can find like 5 or 6 mobs in the open world unrelated to a fate. You literally can't like have to settle for like 3, maybe 4 in most situations. Like I think I found like in Ilmeg there was this area with like 6 Porxies. That was like the one place in Ilmeg, like this singular place in Ilmeg where you could get such a big pull. And like that is a result of, so in World of Warcraft you get a lot of these quests that are like kill 10 of this, kill 10 of that, which is in itself an extremely boring quest when you think about it. And given how dull open world combat is in Final Fantasy XIV, if you had a ton of those quests sprinkled in between the main quest, I think people would complain that they're doing filler, like that they're adding a lot of pointless stuff to the quests. But it does lead to the open world part of the game feeling like unnecessary. Like a thing that I think about a lot when I'm doing a dungeon for the first time is from the perspective of the encounter designer, right? I can imagine the creativity that goes into the boss fights. Like in a dungeon, the 3 boss fights can get very creative, and they actually do get creative despite making a boss that is basically designed to be beaten. But the trash packs, I'm like, how do you decide that this trash pack specifically calls for 2 mobs that are slightly bigger and has a frontal cone attack, and this mob will cast a circle AoE on the tank, and this mob will do it again after this mob, and things like how do you come up with that when what it feels like when you're actually doing the dungeon is these mobs do things, it doesn't really do anything, you just kill them. Like if I was the encounter designer on that, I would be extremely demoralized or demotivated to make that interesting, because I'm like, I don't know, man, they're just going to kill them anyway. We might as well not have trash packs in the dungeon. It just it's just filler, but it's really not. It's like a crucial part of it. If the trash packs weren't there, the dungeons would just feel like a trial with 3 bosses, right? It's kind of weird. So it's actually like that is actually a more impressive part about like dungeon design, is when they actually make the trash packs feel unique, because you have very little to work with. Darius Raven says the only complaint that I have ever had is when they put me into an NPC to do a scenario instead of my character. I love everything else. You know, I get that. It feels really awkward. So I think that it's excusable, because they typically do it in a situation where it's like your character is somewhere else. So it's like, instead of just having the fight play out in a cutscene, like a really, really long cutscene, they let you play it as that character. And usually they make the rotation simple enough that that is usually not the problem. However, what I think would be more interesting is if they got more creative with the toolkits that the NPCs had. Like the Gundam-style fight in Shadowbringers weapons quest line, or when you get to control Grahatia as a black-white mage in the finale quest of Shadowbringers. Those were interesting because it had toolkits that were like unique enough that you'd go like, I would not have the opportunity to play this job ever again. Meanwhile, when you do something like, I don't know, when you control Zero in that fight in Garlemald, where she basically has a super duper simplified version of the Reaper toolkit, and only some of the toolkit even. Like that becomes a little bit like, it becomes a little boring, right? Same with a bunch of the other ones. But it, again, I can excuse it because it's part of the story. Like, the player character is currently busy doing something else at that very moment, so that's why it's not you. There's also that extremely cool cool bit in Stormblood, I believe. Isn't it Stormblood? Where like you control what's his name? And you can see, like, as you're doing the fight, you get like notes like, oh, the Warrior of Light is this close now. Like, that was super cool, even if the actual fight itself was a little, you know, again, you're basically playing Diet Samurai Yahian. But like, again, the storytelling of it made it really good. Ryan says, I can understand that it's not a thing for MSQ, but even side quests, it's like, kill maybe 3 mobs that are a huge pushover and then talk to 5 NPCs. That is true. And then you combine that with the fact that most side quests aren't actually worth it. Like, they give so little XP that it would have been better to do almost anything else. Ryan says, I suppose I like a bit of grinding because when leveling in WoW, I like to gather a bunch of quests from one quest hub, like the Crossroads, and then go deal with half of the Barons. Yeah, I get that. I like that too. Yeah, like, I can see that. And Final Fantasy XIV could be cool with that. That would also give reason to populate zones with more stuff. And more variety. Like, I just want to point out that if you go to Thavnair, for instance, every single mob in the zone is like, the turtle or the tortoises are here. There's those weird, what are they called? Weasel-like creatures here, and there's like elephants around here, and then there's the birds up here. Like, they're not like intermingling randomly like they would in a real wild, right? But the reason for that is because, well, you're not going to be interacting with them. The only time you're going to fight those tortoises is when there is a quest that tells you to. So they just kind of say, they go here. That is very true, Orion. And in A Realm Reborn, they were actually a lot better about it in my experience. They made a lot more stuff in the world to populate it. I think a lot of things in Final Fantasy XIV A Realm Reborn, they thought the game was going to be different. And then, like, the focus started to set in when they realized what they actually wanted the game to be. And then they realized, well, the open world, like, the important part is the big fights, like the S-rank hunts and stuff like that. So everything in the open world is basically designed nowadays to lead to something at least vaguely interesting, because they know that the open world fight with a random tortoise is going to be extremely boring. And yeah, I agree with that, Phil. Darius Raven says, serious question, when is the Chocobo racing stream? I don't know if I will be doing a Chocobo racing stream, but that does sound like fun, maybe. I actually want to add with the Alphino thing, I returned to Final Fantasy XIV late enough in Stormblood that that was a quest, and I'm relatively confident I actually came, like, I had finished 4.2 when I quit. And then when I came back, I almost immediately got this Alphino fight. I was like, what is happening? To summarize our findings, we now know Master PuPu's friend is safe and in the company of a Hannish gentleman, and possibly here on this very isle. Oh, that does sound promising, someone said from off-screen, but that is of course Godbird. Father, you've returned to the city. I trust this means your own investigation was successful. That it was, although laying hands on the object of my desire has been a long and frustrating ordeal, to say the least. Much painstaking research revealed to me the existence of a hereditary Manderville relic, within which slumbers the secrets of a weapon augmentation. Yet, though I turned our ancestral home upside down, I failed to unearth the artifact in question. The reason for its absence became clear when I chanced upon the journal of one of our forefathers. He wrote a visiting scholar's keen interest in the relic. And how he thus surrendered it into Sharlayan's safekeeping for study. The trail led me to Labyrinthos. As it turns out, the Sharlayans never did find time to conduct their analysis. The custodian and I found the curio tucked away in a dusty corner of the Archaeon, still awaiting processing. That is a little disrespectful, isn't it? And here it is. An oddity every bit as perplexing as Godbrand's cipher-bound manual. How are we to liberate its hidden wisdom?
Oh, I can help you with that. These devices were made by the Mandervillian, a starfaring race with whom we once traded.
So you're saying that Mandervilles are actually aliens? Starfaring? Mandervillians?
Yes, a highly evolved species with a mastery of advanced technologies. Our peoples shared ideas and inventions, so I'm quite familiar with your family's relic. If you so wish, I can have the device project whatever images were stored upon it. A darkened room would afford us the clearest view, however.
Then let us retire to our rooms in Kama and dim the lanterns. We must behold these secrets in optimal conditions.
Hey, Toss. Thank you so much.
Mandervillians, a coincidental naming, or is there some deeper connection? And the Lalafell.
Everyone comfortable? Let's see what the device has for us.
Just wave at it.
Godbird-like gentleman. I am Godbrand, wanderer of stars and weaponsmith extraordinaire. First Lord of the of House Manderville. This is the Godbrand, our founding father? I record this message that my descendants may know the truth of their cosmic origins. The tale is long, but I bid you watch until the very end. Heirs of mine, I am not a man born of this star, or even a man at all. I am of the Mandervillians, a race which hails from the far side of the great expanse. That explains a lot. Mandervillians are parasitic symbionts. We can only survive by bonding with other life forms. Once our essence has taken root, we supplant the host's mind and strengthen its physical structures, imbuing our new form with a steel-like resilience. I knew there was something alien about that impossible imperviousness. Then, through the conjoining of compatible host bodies, we produce offspring which harbor the next generation of Mandervillians. This symbiotic variant eventually takes to the stars in search of potential new vessels, adapting and multiplying. So it was that our race proliferated and spread throughout the cosmos. That's very red. Until, tragically, our flourishing civilization was brought to an abrupt end. Uh-oh. That looks familiar. Every planet upon which we Mandervillians resided was visited by an inexplicable calamity. Our societies were brought to ruin by life forms suddenly twisted into horrific nightmares. That looks familiar. That sounds rather familiar, so even stars far removed in time and space were ravaged by the final days. Desperate to avoid the same fate, a comrade and I boarded the ship and fled upwards into the starry night. We flew and flew until we found a planet. Your planet. Untouched by the phenomenon, but the rigors of the journey had so damaged our craft that we were forced to make an uncontrolled descent. I alone crawled from the wreckage, badly injured and near death, but even as I resigned myself to perishing on this unfamiliar world, I was found by a man who had come looking for the falling star. As a rule, Mandervillians do not take intelligent life forms for hosts. After hearing my story, however, this sympathetic gentleman offered to become my vessel of his own accord. He was himself afflicted by an incurable malady, and with little time left to live, seemed content to know that his ailing body could provide safe haven for another. I suppose they never ever had actually harbored an intelligent life form before, and then when they did, he's probably going to explain this in a second, or it's already on screen, but then they became extremely good at everything when they actually merged with an actually intelligent life form. With this blessing, and I set about transferring my essence. The man's form was revitalized and purged of its fatal frailty, yet the mind which dwelled within was now my own. I went on to build a new home for myself here, making use of my people's technology to ply the blacksmith's trade. I wed a local lass, and together we had a child. Heh! Although not pure Mandervillian, our offspring exhibits the same enhanced physiology, a boon I suspect shall be passed down for generations through the bloodline of House Manderville.
My dear descendants, the folk of this star are most fragile, yet, as the first man I encountered did demonstrate, they are nevertheless capable of surpassing love and generosity. As the last of the Mandervillians, I have but one request to make of you. Pray employ your superlative attributes and my armory of Manderville armaments for the benefit of these wonderful peoples whom I hold in the highest regard. Heh.
What an astounding development.
That is a lot of water. I, Hildebrand, Helidor Maximilian Manderville, shall heed the passionate plea of my illustrious forebear. No case is too big nor too small, should it be in service to my fellow man.
He learns he's descended from an extraterrestrial being, and it's still business as usual.
But wait a minute, then why is Lady Julian so monstrously strong? Is she a descendant of aliens too?
Well, this is most unexpected. Never did it cross my mind that our esteemed ancestor might hail from beyond the heavens. But I do wonder if that selfsame blood still runs thick in our veins. The family tree I glanced over some years ago suggests that... but it is unimportant. My present purpose remains unchanged. I will bring our Manderville weaponry to the peak of perfection, for Godbrand, and for the good of our star. Before I forget, I have a gift for you, Katsu. Pray await me at the Aetheryte Plaza, and I shall bring it to you forthwith. Oh, nice. Hey, Kitsuneko, thank you so much.
Some truths can shatter the foundations of our beliefs when brought to light, but I have to say, this wasn't one of them. The more staggering discovery was that I have devoted readers in Sharlayan. Those who peruse my publication are allies against the ever-expanding webs of lies and deception, without exception. I've misjudged the Sharlayan people. They are not collaborators or the architects of conspiracy, they are but seekers of knowledge, unafraid to plumb the depths of the unknown. That Master PuPu, though. That one still has ulterior motives. I'd bet my life on it. Stand ready, for we shall have need of your strength when he shows his true colors. I hope you've not been waiting long.
Wait, sorry, that was Godbird. I hope you've not been waiting long. This is the gift I mentioned. Master PuPu's earnest quest inspired me to indulge in a spot of clockwork craftsmanship between weaponsmithing sessions. I thought it only fitting that you be the one to care for this diminutive simulacrum. Consider it a memento of your adventures together. And for our as for our Manderville weaponry project, I believe my ancestor's artifact has unlocked the door to the next stage of improvements. Should you find time to offer your assistance, announce yourself to Master Gerald, and I shall endeavor to join you with utmost celerity. Until then, my dear Katsu. Hey, Ymir. Yeah, I suppose you did miss that. I think I got some pictures. I'll probably share them on the Discord later. But I also missed... like, my timing on taking the picture wasn't perfect.
Meanwhile, elsewhere in Thavnir.
Hey, Angel.
Lord Van Hoody, I come with ill tidings. Professor Luque set an ambush for his nemesis, but was once more defeated. His current whereabouts are unclear. That blithering dolt. No matter. Preparations are well underway. The manifestation will proceed as planned. Hmm. Extraterrestrial calamity, cosmically altered physiology. A gentleman's man, the first of their clan, an ancestor of quality, our Godbrand Manderville. I don't know the rhythm. Truth can be stranger than the what? Tallest tale? See you, Inspector. Thank you. I tried. I don't know what the rhythm is. I don't think they ever show the rhythm, but I don't know. Oh look, there's Alti. There's a lot of people here. Oh, it's you. I suppose that bespectacled fop did mention he'd made some kind of breakthrough and needed to round up the usual suspects. I shall inform his lordship of your arrival. Guys, welcome. I do hope you are prepared for another spot of modest labor, for I have plucked a new weaponsmithing secret from the depths of my family's extraordinary heirloom. As for why Godbrand abandoned his ciphered journals, it would seem he desired the greater security afforded by the Relic's recording apparatus. That he so feared this knowledge falling into wicked hands bespeaks the destructive potential of what we seek to recreate. Speaking of which, this stage of augmentation will require fundamental alteration to the weaponry's design. Godbrand understood that individual wielders have different needs and preferences, and thus he conceived of a method to modify each armament's base qualities. Essential to the process is a new type of oil known as Manderville. By subtly adjusting the precise ratio of ingredients for this coating, we can influence the paths of ethereal conductivity as we see fit. Ugh, more bloody oil. Not bloody oil, just oil. Maybe sweaty oil, but that's a different story. The oil's chief ingredients is, once again, derived from a meteorite, specifically a chondrite with amplifying properties.
So many out-of-this-world materials. But it's unsurprising now that we know the alien origin of Godbrand's weaponsmithing techniques.
Alien, you say? Little wonder I weren't familiar with him.
As has become customary, I shall prepare the bulk of the necessary resources, whilst you procure our supply of Archondrite. Archondrite.
Oh aye, and a lovely bloody custom that is. Man o' your means, I reckon you could buy a mountain of them space rocks as well.
And I would gladly do so, except the merchant in question will accept not less than a specific type of tombstone in trade. As much as it pains me to impose upon Kaiser further, she is the best equipped to handle that onerous task. These improvements shall call for drastic reforging, and it is your expertise that shall see us succeed or fail as well, Master Gerald.
Fine, fine, I'll shut my gob and do as I'm told.
Oh, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm getting the distinct impression you've lost interest in this project.
You bloody think? Look, I took this job to pay off my drinking debts. Now that I've managed that, I've got no desire to keep working for an underdressed, over-primped, pretentious ass.
I see. Admittedly, even from the beginning, your distaste for me was rather poorly concealed. And I fear such festering antagonism will adversely affect our smithing endeavors. Yes, let us resolve our differences over a flagon of fine spirits, or several, as circumstances dictate. All at my expense, of course.
Free liquor, is it? Then you'd best be bringing your biggest purse.
Kaiser, you must join us. If you'd be so kind as to secure a table at the main, I shall be along in short order. Time to max crit. Yeah, absolutely. That was really random with the alien thing, Orion, but it does look, from my perspective, it also looks more like it just like bugged out. Oh ho ho ho. A splendid night for spirituous beverages.
You're sure about this then, are you? I have a mighty thirst, and it'll not be slaked by the cheap stuff.
What of you, Kaiser? Will you be following Master Gerald's fine example? Bring on the high-class brews. I might have one or two. No liquor for me, thanks. I think that's the funniest. Bring on the high-class brews. Very well, then I shall order us all the same to start. Kaya drinker confirmed. Your beverages, Lord Godbert. Enjoy. To your health, my friends. Is this a contest?
Right. No point beating around the bush. I've hated your guts for a good long while now.
Ah, so even my insides offend you. And why might that be?
Because for a proper artisan, devotion to your craft ought to be a #1 priority. But you're founding a consortium or building some fool's playground for fleecing the masses. You're a bloody merchant, that's what you are.
You believe my devotion is insufficient then? Yet our works require not only the sweat of our brow, but capital to cover expenses, no? Thus, Does not a steady revenue facilitate the creative process? In that respect, my business ventures have allowed me to indulge in goldsmithing projects I could never have otherwise afforded. Is it not true that you craft kettles as a means to repay loans or simply make ends meet? Would not a substantial source of wealth spare you such tedious drudgery and empower you to pursue your heart's desire?
Booze! We're going to need more booze over here. You countered my argument perfectly. You're not drunk enough. What really third me was Yesalia's under our syndicate. How can you craft aught worthwhile while with your head buried in political shite?
You may be surprised. My participation in Uldar's governance opened my eyes to a different world, which in turn provided great inspiration for several original pieces.
Well, you can keep your bleeding inspiration. I want nothing to do with crazy rule makers of your ilk. You and your bloody reasonable arguments. Rich sorts ain't got a clue what it's like for poor buggers like me. And what do you got against wearing clothes, heroes?
We are more alike than you realize, Master Gerald, especially when it comes to the simplicity of our attire. Yeah, he's not wearing a shirt, he's wearing shorts.
It's all clear now. You're the master craftsman. And I'm a sudden failure. A failure! Verena, how's you? Oh, fuck it. I'm a sorry excuse for Smitty, and that's all that matters.
He seems to be mistaking you for someone else. Perhaps you could offer him a kind word? Gerald, you're a sniveling disgrace to your profession. Gerald, your craftsmanship is flawless. Let's choose that one, that's nicer.
That means a lot coming from you. But thanks. Right, I'm done weaving into my cups. I'll fix on them weapons. And the hell's with the money. I'll do it for my own damn sense of pride.
You should still pay him, Godbird. You really should. Good see Master Gerald has overcome his aversion to a partnership. Splendid, although I never would have guessed carrot juice could be so intoxicating. What? Oh, I was concerned for our good smith's health, you see, and had merely switched his spirits to something less potent several rounds ago. The man's liquors are sublime, but too much can wreak havoc on a man's constitution. Smart. There was a time when I, too, devoted every waking moment to my craft. But alas, running a mercantile empire comes with its own responsibilities. Monetary woes notwithstanding, I do envy Master Gerald his purity of purpose. And on that note, let us return to our pointed acquisitions. We shall require 3 chunks of the aforementioned achondrite as soon as you are able. No, Phil, you misunderstand. This whole quest, like this entire thing, is specifically because Gerald had completely lost interest in the work because he has just paid off his debt. Like, he is no longer owing money. So now he does not care anymore about Godbird's payment because he doesn't need it. Because he already paid off his debt. So now I'm saying I hope you still pay him, because if you don't, then he's going to get into debt again, as you say, Phil. Chunks of amplifying achondrite can be obtained from Jubruna at the Aetherite Plaza in Varzatan. Excellent. Alcohol. Well, it looked like the Warrior of Light hardly drank anything. There you go. Well, oh. Well, there it is. I was a bit confused why it didn't say there was a problem, because normally it's like, oh, you have to unequip it. I had completely forgotten that I had a crafted weapon in my hands. Ah, the heat of the furnace has me all sobered up. Let's have them special rocks then. This hunk of meteorite contains deposits of a rare form of pyroxene. When subjected to an advanced extraction process, the achondrite produces mineral oil which can be used to manipulate the pathways of ethereal conductivity. Aye, I reckon that's enough, but there's one other thing that's been bothering me. Was Rowena there at the Mayhain? I don't rightly remember. Ah, forget it. Let's get his lordship over here before I lose my will to forge. Now, for the finishing touch, the Manderville oil. Before we can finalize the mixture, however, you must tell us how you wish your weaponry to serve you in battle. The range of the coating's ingredients will greatly influence the armament's various qualities, so think carefully how you give your answer. Adjust the attributes of your Manderville weaponry. Oh, that does look slightly different. Very, very interesting. Wait a minute. Huh. Huh. 2 maxed out stats and then a little bit in a third. You know, to be fair, that is usually how it will go down. Like, that is usually what you will do, is you will just max out, but like at this stage, that is usually what happens, is you max out 2 stats and then a bit in a third. The only time you will like split it somewhat between all 4 is if you're doing like shenanigans in unsynced like in synced territories, like lower level stuff. Yeah, this is probably what would happen if you're using it in like more current content. Usually, with some exceptions, of course. Now, the reason why I'm going the reason why I'm going like this is because I don't actually plan to have very much skill speed. So this would give me like, I think, a 249, which I don't care about. Whereas this will give me some more like actual damage, which I care more about. But the difference is very small. Understood. Your wish is our command. And that's true, Emir. Gerald has basically been the guy for every Relic weapon quest line. Like, somehow he gets put into it, and that is a really cool weapon. And 'tis done. You're holding the result of undying devotion to crafting excellence. A majestic Manderville Bartiche. You should hold that with 2 hands, Kai.
Had you not so bravely confessed your grievances that evening, I dare say this degree of collaborative work would have remained unattainable. Aye, well, the memories are mighty fuzzy on that score, but I'll take my victories where I can get them. As always, Katsu, should you wish to enhance other Manderville weapons in your possession, you need only say the word. My diligent retainer is at your service. My Lord Godbert. Though it shames me to admit, the expertise necessary to manufacture the Manderville oil is beyond my limited alchemical knowledge. Don't look at me. If I could make magic potions, I'd have drawn my hair back long ago. You could just have someone else make you that potion. Oh, I'm aware it would prove an insurmountable feat for you as well, which is why I've employed a master alchemist. Bloody odd taste in clothes, but at least he's wearing some. Our newest addition to the House Manderville retinue will assist with further augmentations and oversee the preparation of the oil. He will also be available to readjust your weapon's properties, should you but bring him the required quantity of achondrite. This has been a monumental step forward, my friends, yet one stage remains ere the Manderville weaponry's evolution can be considered complete. I knew you was leading up to that. Let me guess, we'll just sit here in breathless, bleeding anticipation while you sort out what comes next? Precisely. Preparing the process is like to be a lengthy endeavor, and so I do suggest you continue breathing. Preparing the process is like to be a lengthy endeavor, so I do suggest you continue breathing. The final step is upon us, Katsu. Pray indulge this ambition of mine one last time. Nice. Very nice. Now the sad part is that because it's a tank weapon, you can't have a direct hit on it. Manderville weapon readjustments are now available from the House Manderville Alchemist at the High Crucible of Alchemia. Collect a single required chunk of amplifying achondrite and equip the weapon you wish to readjust before approaching Lord Godbert's ever-patient retainer. Yeah, so just to summarize that, you need one achondrite to fix your weapon if you like mess it up and you want to change the stats for any reason. But you need 3 for a new weapon. Ooh. But can I dye it? Huh. Oh. That does still look rather nice. But I had hoped it was more. And so, I suppose that'll have to do. Oh look, my portrait's broken because I changed the weapon. Very nice. 1 out of 19? Right? It's 19, right? Yeah, it's 19. Well, that was well, now we don't need this. We certainly don't need that anymore. What we might need is, depending on how much it costs to upgrade again, there is a... Well... So here's an interesting prospect, because augmenting your crafted gear usually costs, well, always costs you the farmable currency, right? Always costs the farmable currency, so these tomestones. But because the relic weapons also cost that, we're going to land in a situation. So let's see, in patch 5.5 we will have augmented crafted gear, which is item level 650, which means that there is a genuine possibility that crafted weapons will win again. Then in patch 6.5, and then in patch 6.55, the final patch, basically final patch, we will have 665 relic weapons.
which then takes over again. Yeah, patch 6.5, we will have new alliance raid, augmented crafted gear, and then in patch 6.55, we will have the final stage of the relic weapons. And given what's been going on here, the requirement to get that is do Manderville story, do a quest, and then hand in 1,500 tomestones. Again. So, I just want to talk about that for a moment, because I understand that a lot of players, a significant amount of players, would be have been very annoyed about the grind being just tomestones, because that's really boring and very easy. Now, counterpoint to that is in Shadowbringers, like in actual Shadowbringers, when the relic weapons were good and like basically mandatory for best in slot, it was pretty easy to like, it was just time consuming to like buy the weapon, because that cost poetics for some reason, and then upgrade it throughout the entire process. But it was just time consuming because everyone was doing the content needed, like the most optimal content to grind it. Castrum Lacus Latori, Delubrum Reginae, all of that stuff was being actively done, so it was fine, right? Now, however, the Shadowbringers relic weapons are possibly the most incredibly difficult relic weapons to even get, because nearly no one is doing Bosia stuff. Like, there are genuinely players that reach Castrum Lacus Latori and go, I can't continue because I don't even know how. Because the thing is, yes, like, you can do Castrum Lacus Latori with like 4 to 8 people. You can do that. Like, I'm willing to believe that you could do it with 2 players even. Assuming those 2 players are absolutely incredible. Because of the scaling, you can probably do that. But because, like, the players that would actually know how to do that, like, the key thing is, the players that would know how to do it as only 2 players, they have probably done this content so much that they never have to do it again. Like, they are done, they finished, they're done. So they wouldn't do it. The players that need it are those that have never done Castrum Lacus Latori. They need, like, at minimum 8 players, possibly 16, to even stand a chance, right? And the problem is exactly that. That makes it very difficult to get into the content if you don't know where to look for players. And Delubrum Reginae is similar. It's less tedious. Slightly less, because you can just queue for it. You can just keep trying. Meanwhile, Castrum Lacus Latori and... what's it called again? Dalriada. They both show up at a specific time, like after a certain amount of time in the instance, and then you have basically like 2 tries. Like, if you wipe once or twice, then you won't make it. Yes, this is an Endwalker area, Amelia. And welcome. Because of that, because the Shadowbringers relics require you to do Shadowbringers specific side content that is otherwise entirely optional, the moment the Shadowbringers relics stop being relevant, they become impossible, or nearly impossible, to even get. I believe the reason the Realm Reborn and the Heavensward relics are slightly less problematic to get is because most of the farms you need to do there you can do unsynced, or they are in roulettes, right? The Stormblood ones, just so happens that people are still doing the farm in Eureka, and the way that Eureka process works is less tedious, but on the other hand, oh, that's it. On the other hand, you don't really need the Realm Reborn, Heavensward, or Stormblood relic weapons for anything. The Shadowbringers ones are still relevant because they're best in slot for old ultimates. That is true, Phil, but the thing is that to even get the quests, you need to do certain stuff in Boja or Zadnor to reach the parts. And I would rather do Castrum Lacus Latorre 3 times than do any Crystal Tower raid 15 times. And I was there when people were doing Blue Mage runs in Crystal Tower to speedrun it. I would rather just go in Castrum Lacus Latorre 3 times per weapon. And I would like to remind you, now I don't have them on me. I think. Oh, I don't have them on me. But I have all of the Shadowbringers relic weapons completed, fully maxed. And I did that primarily by doing Castrum Lacus Latorre. Let me see if I can find them. Oh, there they are. The warrior one is in my inventory because we used it for solo for the solo challenge at some point. I have them all here, all the blades weapons, fully maxed out. I primarily did it with Delubrum Reginae because that actually progressed 2 parts of the weapons at the same time, and then I did Castrum Lacus Latorre, like entering it when it happened while I was farming the memories for weapons as well. It was tedious. But nowadays, it would be way worse. And it is. Meanwhile, I'm pretty confident that when the next expansion starts, these relics are going to cost you so far, they're going to cost you 4,500 poetics. Probably 6,000 when you're done. Per weapon, which is easy mode compared to what Shadowbringers leaves you when you're done. And you also have to remember that any player wanting these weapons, new player that wants these weapons, will be met with, oh yeah, you know that Hildebrand storyline? You know? Yeah, that one comedy side quest? Yeah, you need to complete the whole thing. The whole thing. Yes. The whole thing to get these relic weapons. So when people complain there's nothing to grind, it's because you did the grind years ago. Like, some players actually had to go through the entirety of the Hildebrand story, like mash through it because they weren't interested, just to get the relic weapons. And that is a grind in and of itself, and a more reasonable grind, I would say. But yeah, there you go. So I think it's good that it is the way that it is. Because if it was some like Endwalker exclusive side content, like you specifically had to do the Eureka deep dungeon thing for some quest part, yeah, that would be content that people would continue to do after Endwalker, but it's still very specific, right? Or something to that effect. And then there's also the part that I would like to remind you that, as far as I remember, people did not like Eureka when it was new. Then, as they grew with it, the tinted glasses suddenly made it that it was kind of nice. And then when Boja came out, they had actually gotten rid of many of the things that people specifically didn't like about Eureka. And then people complained that it was lacking the things that people liked about Eureka. And then the devs sit there like, you just told us you didn't want that. Like, you just told us you didn't want that. And now you want it. Yes, please. So you can't win, right? You just can't win. And because people then complained about Boja, like, people then didn't like Boja. Shockingly, Endwalker does not have a Boja or a Eureka equivalent. Because why would it? The player base specifically said they didn't like it. In both cases. Gilano says you need your island sanctuary at level 16 to continue your relic. That would be hilarious. Also because my my island sanctuary is finished. Which actually reminds me, did I check in on my island sanctuary today? I don't think I did. Well, I still have time. But yeah, it is difficult because there's always going to be people that complain, and the thing is, here's the problem with listening to the people that complain about content. Whenever you put out, like, whenever the team puts out content, there's going to be a very small fraction of players that, like, go, like, scream from the hilltops, I love this content, it's the best in the world. There's going to be a significantly bigger minority that will be complaining that they hate it, and then there's going to be this, like, gigantic majority that either doesn't like it, but doesn't care enough to talk about it, doesn't care, or likes it and has nothing to complain about, so they say nothing. And those that don't like it that much, but not enough to complain, they probably don't mind it insofar that there are other players that like it, right? Like that's like that would resolve that issue. Like, oh well, it's not for me, but as long as other people enjoy it, like that is my perspective. I found Bolsha fine. Not like the most exciting thing for me, but the fact that some people loved it, perfect. More of that content, please. But that's what happens if you listen to those that get really vocal about what they don't like, is that you don't know how many of them there are in comparison to how many that like it. Those that like what you're doing have nothing to complain about, so they say nothing. Yeah, exactly, Hoshi. I don't like it, but I let others enjoy that because they like it. Well, Orion, my island sanctuary, which is completed, basically prints me money 5 times a week. So if you are in the business of having a house, like a private house on your character, specifically for the potential money it could bring you, you should do your island sanctuary. Right, I will be right back, and then I think we'll figure out something to do for the rest of the stream.
I'm back. No, it doesn't look like the chat died. I think people just stopped having things to talk about. Orion, I don't have a video on maxing out your Island Sanctuary, but I do actually have a tutorial on the Island Sanctuary. And that one is, of course, from back when Island Sanctuary was completely new. And before I maxed out my own island. I believe at that point I had like 18 of the armadillo things because I think they're cute. I've since replaced a lot of them because efficiency. But I literally just filled my pasture with an animal. I was like, that's cute, I'll go with that one. Right. What do you mean, Emir? Efficacy. Well, as I said, I absolutely did not start my Island Sanctuary with optimizing it. I started by just going, this works. Like, my optimization criteria was, can I make my Island Sanctuary produce calories, the currency from there, with as little thinking as possible? Now, what actually ended up happening is that because I just, like, specialized in producing two things and only two things pretty much, it still meant that I had to go through the motions of filling those things out, and because I was using an absurd amount of those things, it meant that I regularly had to go out and like procure those things, because even the like adventures that your what's it called, what's it called? Like the granaries pull in, they will grab in a bunch of different resources, and if you're not using them, then you have to go out and if you're not using those, you have to procure the resources you're actually using, which meant that I regularly had to acquire that. So what I did instead is that I joined this Discord server called Overseas Casuals, and they just tell you what is the best thing to make that week. And then you just make that and make sure that you have the resources, which means that I just mindlessly go over and do that. Problem solved. And by the way, for anyone that is mostly just listening to the stream, I put a poll on what we do next. It's up to, do we do some dailies like expert roulette, or do we do some blue mage stuff? Because there's new blue mage stuff to do. I don't care either which way. That's why I put a poll. Like, I wouldn't put a poll if I was ultimately going to do, I'd rather do this. So you decide. Emir says, can you speak German? No. Not really. I can't. Or maybe you were talking with Orion. I don't know.
But yeah, earlier today I was leveling Blue Mage all the way to 80. And that was relatively easy. Supposedly, for those interested, the most efficient way to level to 80 with Blue Mage is to just like either find a level 90 friend either find a level 90 friend to run it with you. Like basically you don't go in party with each other, you just go to an area with level 80 mobs, like early Endwalker stuff, and you just do the classic throw Zardine at things and then have the level 90 kill it quickly. If you can't or don't want to do that, the alternative is clump together with 7 other blue mages and just become like a stampede and just run down anything that is higher level than you, preferably level 80 stuff. If a mob is level 81 or more, then it will not give you the blue mage bonus. Like, it needs to be at most level 80, otherwise it will not give the Giga XP bonus that blue mages receive normally. So keep that in mind. What I did instead, and Sharo and Hoshi did experience that a little bit alongside me, is... So, if you fight a mob that is your level or higher, if you kill a mob that is your level or higher, Angel says has you can do is level 80, 81 mobs. It is specifically level 80 mobs, not 81. 81 mobs will not work. It has to be level 80 on the dot. If they're higher level, they will give nearly no experience, because you get experience like a normal job. And in Shadow, when Blue Mages capped at level 70, the cap was level 70 mobs. In the exact same way, that is why most Blue Mages were power leveled in Colusia on the Hobgoblins and the like, that are level 70. I'm pretty sure the level 81 mobs give nothing, at least. But what I did a little bit with Sharo and Hoshi is... So if you kill a mob that is your level or higher, then if you kill multiple mobs in succession, you will see near your XP bar there's this timer that starts, and you will also see this chain bonus that appears on your screen somewhere whenever you kill something. And if you pay close attention to the XP amounts you gain, you will see that there's like an increasing extra percentage bonus that you get for each kill on top of what you normally get. Like almost like a hidden bonus, but it's really visible. And you basically want to chain as many kills as you can. Usually the chain will end when it gets, because the amount of time between each kill you're allotted drops with each kill chain, where it caps out at 10 seconds. And you have to remember that it resets and counts the kill when the mob gives you XP, and they don't give XP the instant they die. They like play a significant part of their death animation before they actually give you the XP. So what I did, so the trick is this, if you're equal, so if it's a mob that is higher level than you, then you get lots of experience, like great, excellent, but all of your kill spells like Missile or Ultra Vibration do not work on mobs that are higher level than you. So while the mobs will give more experience, you cannot use your strongest spells at all. So my trick was fight mobs at exactly your level, because then you both get the chain bonus and the ability to use your kill spells. Like, it is the perfect middle ground. And you might be asking yourself why I didn't just grab a friend and have them grind for me. It's very simple. Because it's boring. Like, I could have, like, so I did Dorm Meg earlier, right? Today. I could have just done this and like made a group for Dorm Meg and found 3 blue mages to do that boss with me. Instead, I soloed it because it's funnier. So that is a very, very close poll. We have, I think we have 5 for blue mage and 4 for dailies. So if anyone that hasn't cast their vote yet, take note that your vote is very valuable at this very moment. I'll wait a moment in case there's anyone that hasn't cast their vote in the last moment. Yeah, it's also more that I like to solo the dungeons if I can with Blue Mage. It's difficult, but it's exciting to see if you can. There's a reason why I do the solo challenge streams, because it's funny. But you can certainly feel that Blue Mage is reaching its soloing capacity in Shadowbringers content. As I said earlier, the tank buster from the first boss in Dorm Meg, if you let it hit you cleanly in the face, it will do like 60, 70, maybe 80% of your health. Just so you need to be topped off for that, and for every attack that requires you to be completely topped up to survive, it means that you have to use White Wind before the attack and White Wind at least once after the attack. And that is bound to really eat your MP, right? It's going to make it really difficult to actually attack, because you're spending all that time healing, and then you need to use Blood Drain to recover your MP. Like, ooh, all of that is just a bad time. Right, so looks like we're doing Blue Mage stuff. Give me yeah, that's true, Angel. Do you still get chains if you have someone else kill the mobs for you? Now, I don't actually know like an incredible amount of the receiving end of power leveling a blue mage like that, because I haven't been power leveled. I leveled manually all the way. As long as you're the one who pulls, it counts for the chain. Oh, well, there you go. Right, so we're doing blue mage stuff. So, I believe that there is a spell in Malika's Well. There's a spell in Malika's Well. Yes. The thing is that the kill chains don't actually matter that much if you're power leveling by killing the highest possible level mobs, right? Like, the sheer amount of experience you're getting will be so huge that it doesn't really matter whether you get like 50% extra experience from the kill chain. Yeah, that sucks, Ymir. That is unfortunate. Right, so I don't think I actually need Bad Breath that much. The damage dealt reduction, like the reduced damage done, is nice, but often you don't even have time to do it anyway. The problem is that I'm not sure which spell to take instead of Dragon is to get space for Dragon Force. I'm thinking that on the boss I'll just move Ultra Vibration over to Dragon Force instead, and that'll work. Also, I'm missing some 530 pieces, so I might have to buy something. We can also just try and see if it works, as is. Yeah, the last thing I did was that run in Dorm Meg, by the way. Yeah, I'm missing some poetics. And I don't have the allied seals to buy the actual gear either. Yeah, so the spell that we're looking for in Malika's Well... Oh, I forgot to fix my portrait there. The first boss is what we're looking for. Right, so we have some new spells. I'll pull them... Maybe I can get away with doing this one. Who knows? This can be a bit dangerous. I discovered that the froggy boys in Dome Mech are immune to deep freeze. So you could end up with mobs that just don't care. When do we get Holy Shieldrun? Yeah, indeed. By the way, I think one of the biggest advancements that blue mages have gotten in a soloing capacity is the addition of Goblin Punch, because that means we have an instant attack. Which is certainly something we didn't have before. Which means we can do we can do like scholar tactics like this. They sure hit hard. Shieldrun isn't that incredible. Like as long as you can deep freeze the enemies, it's not that impressive, because it's like you're barely going to get hit, but it's free damage that you can prepare before the fight starts, which is nicer than not having it, right? This felt a lot easier than reaching the first boss in Dome Mech. Right, so oh, we have to wait for Ultra Vibration now. I should have thought about that. We don't need an AoE attack, but I need Whistle, so that's what's going for that. Well, actually, we kind of do need an AoE attack, sort of. Because there's ads in this fight. I don't think we're going to be using Bad Breath very much. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll keep it just to be sure. So the toolkit that I have is basically, so I have the Ethereal Mimicry, that's mandatory. Then I have like the classic OGCD suite of like all the good stuff. We have Nightbloom, Phantom Flurry, Surbanaka, Shock Strike, Feather Rain, J-Kick, Glass Dance, like they're basically all mandatory. Then we also have Mighty Guard and Basic Instinct, which are mandatory when soloing. And then we also have Diamond Back for stack markers and White Wind for big heals quickly. And then we have Rehydration, which combined with Swift Cast is with Basic Instinct, like a White Wind or even like a Benediction almost. Let me just show you how much it heals for. 11,000, so not entirely as good as Benediction, but it is very close for the fact that it costs a measly 200. So Ultra Vibration for the instant kill, and then we have Ram's Voice for the deep freeze, which is an AoE for this fight, I suppose. I suppose we will make do with that. And then we have the triple trident combo, which is whistle, tinkle, tribal, triple trident. We need all 3 or none at all. And then from the rest of the new spells we also have is Goblin Punch, which is 320 potency as long as the mob is hit from the front and you're using Mighty Guard, which we are. And we have Breath of Magic, which is 2400 potency over a minute. It's like the biggest dot in the game. And then we have Shieldron, which if the mob hits you 5 times, which is possible, that's 500 potency for 1 GCD per target. Phil says, is that more efficient than Palm Cure? Palm Cure in tank Ethereal Mimicry, which we are, is only 100 potency. And if we were a healer, that would be 500 potency, so time-wise, Palm Cure is better. But potency-wise, Rehydration is better. Which makes Rehydration way better if you're a tank. Which we are, so that we can use Goblin Punch. That is an instant melee attack. It is better than Sharpened Knife. Right, and we don't really have any space for anything. Like, the only thing that we might be able to make do without is Shieldron, I think. Right, Ultra Vibration we don't need, so we grab Dragon Force instead for this fight. I think we're just going... I think we might just... Well, actually, we're going to start with Shieldron, and then I'm going to keep Dragon Force so that we have it if, like, a big tank buster comes out. How much do you hit for? Okay! Ow! This is bad, I think. Or maybe not. I need to test something. Miss. Ow. It works! Okay, then we win. Automatic win. Or automatic failure first. Okay, take me then. I'll get you on the rematch. I was not actually expecting Missile to work, so I didn't even try. And then I was like, wait a minute, I have Missile. Apparently, Missile works in this boss. It did not work on the first boss in Dome Meg. I tried. Well, that makes this a lot easier. Those that have seen me meme on stuff in solo challenge with Blue Mage, just for the fun of it, will know what is coming right now. And now I ask, did the chat die? Are you all right? Hello. Okay, you're still here. Excellent. Yeah, Palm Cure is still best for single target healing. The only thing rehydration does is that it works without the healer mode. Orion says I'm dead. Oh. Well, in that case, we do Dragon Force. And then we just do this. Wham! I think we need to land a few of them. I didn't let it use right round yet. That is going to be a redo. I'm too powerful. Bam, 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 bam. Oops. Wow. Yeah, exactly, Angel. Suffering from success. I was like, wait a minute. So, the reason why that happened was also because I was suddenly scared of getting hit by the stack marker because I wasn't ready because of Diamondback and the Dragon Force and all that. Speaking of Dragon Force, it'll be fine. My portrait is still bugged. I need to fix that soon. Ow. Hello there. Are there more quests for Blue Mage? Yes, there is a whole quest line again. And before you reach the part where they're like, oh, you have to fight in the Masked Carnival, they will hand you a new armor set. And if I had known that, I had just bought the right side, but I didn't. But yeah, they'll give you a whole armor set. The only reward for actually doing the Masked Carnival stuff is on your weapon, so you can can put better materia in your weapon. So it's pretty minor. Like it is technically better than not doing it, but it is a pretty small difference. Wait a minute. Why am I fighting you properly when I can just do this? Right, so tactics on this boss is survive until it has used right round. Or rather, missile it until it's near death and then survive until it uses right round. This thought is insane. It is also reminiscent of the Lost Flare Star from Boja. Because of the similarity of it being one per target. And the reason I'm not using Ultra Vibration here is because I need to switch the spell out. So I don't want it on cooldown. There you go. Well, yeah, there's a handful of quests for blue. Right, so instead of just using Dragon Force right out the gate and then messing up myself, we will instead just missile. I have plenty of time. There we go, right round. What have we gotten? What does it do? It's completely useless. It is. It is a meme spell. It is. I think it is a circle version knockback. Version of the Malediction of Water. So Malediction of Water allows you to push enemies and allies 10 yards forward. Right round allows you to push everything away from you. The only thing this is good for is to have it, so that you have it in your spellbook, because you need 120 spells for the for this one, which is ironically 117 and not, you know, 121 or something like that. Right, we don't need anything else here. You could play some sweet Blue Mage sports with that. There was actually this one time where we tried to play like toss a player around like a football game or something. But the problem is that because of how the mechanic worked, what ultimately happened is you just yeeted everyone around everywhere. It was really, really weird. But yeah, you could do that. You could make it like some sort of wrestling match, where you're like shoving each other. Right, so that was sad. Yeah, that's true. Right round is a little smaller. It is also a circle instead of like a huge wide line that just goes forward. Thought I opened a list. Did I close it again? I suppose I closed it again. The next spell is from Mount Gold. In dungeons, at least. That might be really hard, given that I don't have, like, a full 530 gear, and, newsflash, crafted level 80 gear is very expensive right now. At least for blue mages. And I don't have the poetics. We can still try, but it's going to be a long dungeon. My portrait, that is right. Thank you, Emir. I also know what's wrong with it. It's the earring. Thank you very much. Let me actually see here. Emir says, I still want a potion throwing job that specializes in dots and debuffs for 7.0. I think that's a cool idea. I want a job that is dot-centric, and that could work as, depending on how you sell it aesthetically and thematically, that could both qualify as a mage or ranged physical, and as we've talked about previously, pretty good chance we're getting a ranged physical and a mage in 7.0, but we don't know that yet. I'm actually surprised that there isn't like a dancing plague group, given that there's 2 spells there. But I could do that. Try and make that. It's just easier if you can join a group that is already there, right? And the reason why I'm making a group for that is because I literally cannot solo Dancing Plague. It has a DPS check. A DPS check that is notably a single target DPS check. And it is rather strict. And that is worth pointing out because Blue Mages can solo Tsukuyomi synced, apparently. Yeah. How did I do that? Never mind, I distracted myself. Did I choose the right one? Recordable. Dancing Plague, right, and it's just normal as far as I know. I'm pretty sure it's normal. I'm pretty sure it usually says it if it's specifically from the hard version. You see, that says Wanderer's Palace hard. If you are watching and you have level 80 Blue Mage, you're welcome to join as well. I don't think they would have a spell from an EX. I think that is also reasonable because the whole thing is that Blue Mage is like, they get their toolkit first and then they start looking into, okay, how do we do the hard stuff? A level 1 Blue Mage. That's maybe pushing it, don't you think? Right, so while this is happening, I can figure out some of the spells that I would like to have as a tank. Because I'm going to offer to tank because I'm already here and ready to tank. I'm not sure which spells are needed, really. The reason I took Breath of Magic off is, as I said before. Hey, Gilano, you can join us level 74. We're doing it synced. Dancing Plague is 73. Well, if you want, apparently it's filling very, very quickly now. Like, yeah, 74 is the right level. Do you want to? I'm pretty sure that I haven't put like a restriction. Oh. Well, we're full now. Sorry. Right, someone just said they need 2 minutes. I'll let them have their 2 minutes. Are there any spells I'm forgetting? Oh, Chelonian Gate, maybe? I don't know if we actually will find Chelonian Gate very helpful. Speed typing, indeed. Have I everything on the bars? Yeah, you can do it with one tank. It's just that the intermission can get a little sketchy if you only have one tank. And I'm not sure how much shenanigans we can get away with. So I'd rather play it safe. And if we don't need it, then the second tank can literally just not turn Mighty Guard on and it's fine. That's actually maybe a bit useful. Faint on a stick. Oh, I just remembered. Just remembered a spell I need. I don't know if we're going to be using that. It's all shenanigans, that is true. I don't think Shieldtron would be super useful, but Devour will. That is a spell I forgot completely. That is incredibly good. Like, it's just that's just 20% more HP if you're a tank, and I didn't use that in Dome Meg either for reasons. They just left? That is awkward. Oops, all blue mage. Yeah, sort of. That is the easiest way to get a group for blue mage stuff, is to just say only blue mages. Oh, look, there's Jacob. Did you want to come, Gilano? Should I test this? That was really weird. So Ruby Rose said, give me 2 minutes. And I said, okay. And then they left without a word. So they didn't say how they were going to get back to me. They're like, I can't do anything. I can't get a hold of you again. Sorry. The Ruby Rose? No, Ruby Row. Is there a Vaishni? I always feel bad when there's like a miscommunication like that. I don't know if they had something in mind and we just can't, like, they just didn't tell me. I can't possibly know. So I'll just have to go, well, they left. Like, technically they left without telling me anything. And I can't write them. So the really neat trick about being a tank is that you don't actually have to be able to know how to do the blue, like, moon flute stuff. Because if you do that, you're going to possibly be in grave danger. Oh, I don't think I'm going to make that. Oof. That is the scary part about having a cast time on your defensive cooldown, right?
When you play with fire.
Right, so I believe one of the spells we're supposed to be getting is Bright Sabbath, which we already saw happen. The other spell that we're looking for is Being Mortal, I believe it's called. Which is, I think that's the, like, the thing that ends the intermission.
We're sick of this crapped old castle. Let's play in the forest.
I'm going to run over here. There's more blue mages over here, I think. Nope. And yeah, that is a silly amount of dots. That it's been a while since we've seen something like that in Final Fantasy XIV, hasn't it? Oh, perfect. Wonderful. Yeah. Oh, well, that is a sad cold fog then. Where's the other tank going? This is scary, very scary. Oh no. know that's going to hurt. Oh, that hurt a lot. I think Mustard Seed doesn't need a tank, is that right? I think. Oh, no, mate, you have to make a choice. Oh boy. Uh-oh. This is really awkward. The classic blue mage awkwardness with tanking, it feels like. Can you rest as a blue? Yes, if you take the rest spell, which I forgot. I just remembered another spell I should have taken.
This is so much fun. Let's play some more.
Yeah, you can raise like once per fight because the cooldown is like 10 minutes. No, I shouldn't have used Cold Fog there. Oh, it worked. Nice. That is awkward. Uh-oh. 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 Oh wait, I thought that was the frontal cleave thing. Very nice. Yeah, exactly, Blue Mage does not have a limit break. Unfortunately. So, a lot of people were hoping that Seed of Sacrifice would somehow grant Blue Mages a limit break. It like, if anywhere were to grant Blue Mages a limit break, that would be it, right? Like, that is the obvious one. But it didn't. In fact, I believe the patch notes flat out said, like, weirdly said, there is nothing in the Seed of Sacrifice for Blue Mages. Like, it almost just dropped it on the floor, like, don't bother, there's nothing for you here, just don't come here. Which is kind of funny. Right, so, Divination Rune is a frontal cone that does twice the damage of Blood Drain and claims it restores MP. I wonder if it's more. And being mortal is... oh boy. It's another one of the mandatory spells. Add it to the list. So those that haven't played Blue Mage a lot, when I say mandatory spells, basically, if you have an ability attack that does damage, any amount of damage, it is better to take it than not take it. That is why spells like Eruption and Feather Rain are considered mandatory, is because they basically mean 300 free potency every 30 seconds. Like just 10 potency per second for them existing. The same with Mountain Buster and Shock Strike, that's 400 potency with an AoE component as well. Blast Dance, like that does even less damage and has a longer cooldown, but it's better than not having it to have it. So you should always bring it. Many of them share cooldown, which drastically reduces the amount of them you need. Case in point, if Feather Rain and Eruption didn't share cooldown, then you would bring both. That's the reason you only bring one of them. But I'm just telling you, out of this list of spells I have, all of these are required because not bringing them is objectively worse than bringing them. Which means that 8 of my 24 spells are required, regardless of what role I am, because they're too good to not have. Also, let's see what it looks like. I don't think any blue mage will ever let that animation play out in a burst. But yeah, who was it that said? Someone said that they think that blue mage will get a new burst. The answer is yes. You need to fit being mortal in your burst now. Somehow, I don't know how, but it has to be there. It's 800 potency. That's true when you mash other stuff, but the blue mage part of flying around in circles will not play out. Right, so the other thing is, let me just go to let's go to Lakeland. That is that works. I just want to test how much MP Bright Sabbath does. What's Bright Divination Rune? Sorry, because I want to know how much MP it gives. Because if it's better than Blood Drain, so Blood Drain gives 500 MP. If Divination Rune gives more or the same, then Divination Rune is objectively better. $200. Well, then there's a follow-up question. Is that per target? Punch, 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 punch. Many punches. So I go over here. And then we test again. It's per target. Okay, that is interesting, but that means that Divination Rune is better than Blood Drain if there are 3 targets. If there's only 1 or 2, then it's not better, because the simple fact is that you're never going to use Divination Rune unless you need MP. The damage is completely irrelevant. But interesting. That actually adds some variety, because you might want that. Yeah, classic 8. Well, sometimes it doesn't stack with the number of targets, like with Quietus during Delirium. But when you're tanking... Yeah, oh, that's true. That is classic AoE. 3+ targets. Shalonian Gate wasn't that helpful, so I think that Angel's Whisper should have that slot. Yeah, fun. On the one hand, I like the Being Mortal spell. I'm also happy to see that it shares cooldown with one of the other spells, in particular the spell from Amurot. So, instantly, I have significantly less interest in doing Amurot next. Oh yeah, I got some Poetics and some Allied Seals from that, specifically because I did it with a full Blue Mage group, the Blue Mage log. Right there, nice. Yeah, I think it's fun. I think it's just a shame that that it is like that. The thing is, just want to talk about that a little bit. The thing is, with the must-take abilities like Being Mortal, Nightbloom, Phantom Blur, Serpenaka, Shock Strike, Feather Rain, J-Kick, and Glass Dance, is that as long as you have other spells that you don't have to take, it's not really a choice. Like, at some point, we're going to reach the question of, do I need to bring an AoE attack? Tanks will go, well, maybe I don't need Dragon Force, and so on and so forth. Tanks are absolutely going to be dropping Triple Trident and this much faster, because there's so many, like, no-brainer abilities that you are going to take 100% of the time, right? And the more of these mandatory abilities that they add, the closer we will get to that breaking point. And we need to have so many of the abilities that we immediately reach the breaking point of, like, let's say there is 24 mandatory abilities, right? Let's say that they actually reached 24 of these kinds of abilities where you're like, you kind of have to take them. That would actually make it interesting, because then it means that any build would start with all 24 and go, okay, well, I need Mighty Guard because I'm a tank. I need Diamond Bag because of this reason. I need a spammable attack because, obviously, and things like that. Like, suddenly you shift it from, I need to know which spells I don't need to survive, to changing it to, I need to choose the spells I do need to survive, and do my job. Which is a lot more interesting, but we need to reach that point, because while we have like 8, what instead happens is that you just kind of look at the toolkit you have and go, I mean, I like this spell, but I guess Being Mortal is better. And I like this spell, but I guess Nightbloom is better, and so on and so forth. Like, it just, from a customization perspective, having 8 of your 24 slots being taken up by 8 spells or abilities that are basically so good that you would never not take them, right? Means that it looks more like we have 16 spell slots. And then you remember Ethereal Mimicry, or Etheric Mimicry, is also mandatory, so you have 15 spell slots. Oh, and you basically have to take Angel's Whisper, so you have 14 spell slots. And you need a spammable attack, so you have the you have the freedom to choose which one you want, but aside from that, you need that, so that means you have 13 slots. Like, it goes pretty fast. And then you have things like this combo that takes up 3 slots on its own. It's ridiculously quickly that Blue Mage just turns into, well, there's this build. I think, like, if you look at, like, builds, like spell lists for Blue Mage, the majority of the spells are identical across all roles. As I recall, there might be a little bit more variance. Like, Shieldtron is very cool from a tanking perspective, because that one, if you time it right, could be like 500 potency. Don't worry, Kai, we get another combo. Oh, wonderful! On the note of combos, I just want to point out that Song of Torment and Bristle used to be a mandatory combo. The only reason why it is like pushed a little bit to the sidelines, as far as I know, is because Nightbloom basically does that half the time. And it's not worth the 2 slots, or tank or a healer maybe, if it's only half the time for a For a DPS, you might want it if you have space, because Bristle you also need for Matra Magic, so now that combo only costs 1 extra spell slot. For 550 potency. Like, I'm not saying that there's a problem with this. I'm just saying that it would immediately, for me personally, become a lot more interesting if we actually had 24 abilities. Like, we had 24 of this kinds of stuff, specifically because then it means that it's a decision you have to make. It's like you're actually weighing how many utility spells do I need. Like, I would absolutely drop Bad Breath for an additional ability, and I would probably drop Cold Fog as well, given that 400 potency is no longer that impressive when it's conditional, and Goblin Punch is 320 for a tank. Just as an example, right? As you get more and more, you start to realize what you don't actually need. Like, I brought Rehydration, I didn't even use it. Where do you get Nightbloom? Tsukuyomi, Castrum Fluminis. It is the attack that she uses when she switches to the intermission, I believe, or it is the attack she uses when she jumps out of the intermission. But she is 100% guaranteed to use it if you go through the motions of doing the fight. It shares cooldown with both ends, by the way, which I'm pretty sure you can solo Swallow's Compass. She uses it going into the final phase. Ah, okay. I'm pretty sure you might be able to solo Swallow's Compass if you really wanted to. And it is so that makes that significantly easier to get. You can also solo Tsukuyomi, but I think that requires a lot more skill. Nightbloom is overall the better option in an extended fight. Both ends is really good for farming because it does slightly more damage up front and it does the full damage to all targets, whereas Nightbloom is like, you know, the classic 400 to the first, 50% to everything else. Yeah. Actually funny is that Goblin Punch would be the best open world attack, just spamming, if it wasn't for the fact that you need to use Mighty Guard to access its full power. But it's pretty good. Like, I actually read yesterday that people... Well, actually, I read this morning that people looked over the patch notes and saw that Etheric Mimicry Healer had gotten a buff that made it so that it, in addition to having, you know, an impact that makes it so that your certain healing spells get a potency boost, it also just inherently boosts the potency of your heals. Like, on top of that, just adds a 20% bonus, which I don't believe it had before. People said, well, that's pretty funny because tank is actually the job that needs something, and then someone went, yeah, what it needs is like, I don't know, like an instant attack? Like an instant spell or something? Like, basically they described that just in sparse detail, but they basically said we need Goblin Punch. So I thought it was really funny that that is the like almost guaranteed to be the first spell you find, and it's like quest unlocked as well. Like, you are bound to find it, and it's exactly like, it's so good that I'm like, I don't think tank needs anything else. Like, that was it. That was on the wish list. Check. Nailed it. Right, so on that note, we had some fun. We experienced the Hildebrand story. I hope you enjoyed my voice acting to go with it. I've heard a lot of people, the thing that they enjoy the least, like, well, dislike the most, you could even say, about the Hildebrand story is that it is entirely in text. And I think it could be a lot more interesting if they had voices. That would help a lot with the comedy in it. So I hope that my voice acting added a little bit more comedic flair to the storytelling. Then we got a a relic weapon, and I need to update my list so I get all of them again. And now I finally have something to spend my tomestones on, both my poetics and my tomestones of causality. Oh, Sip is dead here apparently. But yeah, we got one, and then we got some Blue Mage stuff done. Apparently the first boss in Malika's Well can be beaten with missile. Emia says, I like that it is in text. It means I don't have to bother my family with the voice acting. Oh, that's fair. If you play it on speakers, I can see why that would be a problem. I don't know. I think it would be more fun if it was in voice, but I think part of the reason is also that it leaves you the ability to like put in, like, imagine your own voices. Maybe it's difficult to get the comedic timing right. The story started with no voice acting, so if they add the voices now, will it actually fit like the original vision? Things like that, it becomes very complicated. So instead of doing that, do nothing. Don't break it if it isn't, like, don't change it if it isn't broken. Like as I mentioned, the end, like, credit song at the end has no voice acting, so I have no idea the rhythm of the song. Maybe if I heard the melody enough times, I would be able to match it, but I hear it once every 8 months. Maybe we would hear it a lot more if we did some Hildebrand on Small Kai streams. Anyway, I didn't have anything else planned. Yeah, the thing is, I get the rhythm, but like pacing out the lyrics to the rhythm in one attempt is very, very difficult. Yeah, I get it. It's just like if you don't remember the melody and the song itself, then you don't remember how the song goes. Is what I mean. But yeah, I see what you mean. But it's like if you get the timing of the first word wrong or something, then, as you could hear on me, I messed it up. Small guy with a wacky cutscene. Yeah, exactly. We could do that one day. But yeah, apparently Sip got back. Yeah, if you enjoyed this stream, then remember that we have a community Discord server where you can find all of the wonderful people that is in the stream. In fact, I think most of the people that are in the stream right now are in the Discord. But I'm saying it anyway in case there's someone that isn't. That you can join the Discord community server. No, there's Matthew. And there you will find all of the wonderful people. And you will also find a room dedicated to the weekly schedule. And you will find a room dedicated to whenever I post a new video or a new stream or a new short. You can find it there. And yeah, I think that's everything I have. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the stream, consider leaving a like. I appreciate it very much. And with that said, good night or good morning, afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. And I hope to see you all very soon. Tomorrow, actually, where we're doing variant dungeons. I hope to see you there. Good night.